Okay. Okay, we got a cute little cozy group tonight. I like it. I'm okay with it. Mm. This just means we'll be able to have a little bit of great interaction with the four of us. Let me see if this still shows up the way I want it to. Are you guys seeing that full screen?
Yes.
Nice slideshow.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Um, this is something, and I know that I kind of touch on it a little bit when I lecture at the bridge. And in one-on-ones, we can kind of look at it a little bit, but I love to go over it again because you guys are home. We are trying to figure things out. We're trying to get into a place of progression. We want to feel like we're maintaining or we're continuing to succeed. And sometimes it's good for us to just remind ourselves, number one, of what it is that empowers us. And then number two, how we stay empowered in a very simple way. And I'm hoping that this discussion helps us to get kind of into that space of, oh, okay, this is why this isn't working. I'm either overwhelming myself, I am over planning myself, I am overstimulating myself. So I need to cut back here, or I need to rearrange something, or I'm hitting on these things a little bit more than this one. Um, so that's why I really like to have this discussion. And where it's just the four of us, hopefully we can kind of get into the nitty-gritty of some different things that maybe will help us
Will help us.
organize things a little bit better. Just to start off, it's going to be a little bit of a review. Okay. So I want us to go back to, I don't know if you guys remember when I did whatever session, all three of you gals were in different sessions. So this will be good. This will be a test. Of when I did the emotional empowerment lecture, we talked about the mind pits. Do you guys remember the mind pits? Do you remember what our mind pit is? What's our mind pit? Welcome, Meg.
Hi, sorry.
So glad to have you.
I'm
Uh,
finishing a grilled cheese sandwich and then I'll share my camera.
go for it. Yes, whoever I can see, I would love it. I know sometimes you can't turn on the camera. That's fine. And I have my screen just so that I can only see. So it's a good thing there isn't very many because I would only be able to see a few of you anyways. So perfect. Um, in the mind pits, this is when we're in our own head, right? This is when we're stuck in our own mind. We're stuck in that negative narrative. Now, something that we talk a lot about when we're looking at the mind pit, when we're looking at mind-body communication, is who is in charge of that narrative? Do we remember? I gave you guys homework on this while you were at the bridge. What did I ask you to do? Who did I ask you to name?
Oh, I remember. Yeah, we have to give it a name. We give it a name when we recognize it.
Yeah, our
Oh,
negative roommate,
our
right?
our
Mm,
roommate.
There you
Yes.
go,
yeah.
Kira. Ooh, ooh. Good job, girls. We have a negative roommate, right? That lives in our head rent free.
And
And
is your roommate's name Janet? No, wait, was that someone else?
no, that was so close. Janice is mine.
Oh, Janice.
Janice from the sitcom Friends.
Mm,
She's mine because I can't take her seriously in any way, shape, or form. I don't hate her. I don't love her. There's just it's a very neutral space for me to lighten things up, and that's where we want to get, right? When we're in our mind pits, means when we're in that ruminating state of our mind. Like when we're ruminating on stuff, we become anxious, we become depressed, all those kinds of things. That's our mind pit. Usually, when we're in our mind pit, we have someone in charge of the narrative. That narrative is usually being ran by our negative roommate. Okay. So when we learn all the awareness that we learn while we're at the bridge helps us to observe that a lot better, right? Where either we observe them in kind of a lighthearted way and a fun way, or we just start to see what it is that we're feeling, what it is that we're doing. Like, oh, okay, there's that. If we do it the way that CR teaches us, like, oh, of course I'm feeling this way, or of course this is happening, right? we're just kind of reading the room of our own mind, right? And we start to find clarity in that because we're becoming more aware and we're changing the way that we interact with this roommate. Okay, so this this is all just kind of preface that we're laying beforehand so that we can kind of see how um, we start to connect the mind and the body a little bit better. Okay, so I also had us do this. Do we remember what these are? What is your R&R? I mean, it's right there, but
Release and rebuild.
yes! Good job, Celeste.
Thanks.
Okay, so releasing and rebuilding tools. Do you guys have your releasing and rebuilding list? Do you remember I had you write a list? I should have in the WhatsApp when I announced the or sent out the leak, I should have said, anyone who still has their releasing and rebuilding tool list, please bring it. Because this is that list where I had you start to think about what are things that I do, right? Hobbies, activities, anything that you do or have done the majority of your life that releases negative emotions and rebuilds positive ones, right? And I had you do it in a way. So if you haven't done this yet, I encourage you, get a piece of paper. You have three columns, right? The first column is going to be the actual releasing and rebuilding tools. These are the activities you're going to start writing. Like, oh, I love walking. Well, what does walking do for me? When I'm walking, like a lot of my stuck thoughts start to get greased up and I'm not stuck in my head. I can be more present. Things feel more fluid after I'm walking. Okay. This is the second column was how you feel in it. And then the third column is how I feel after. So if I'm thinking of, I have walking down as one of my R&R tools. During walking, I feel this way. I feel more present. My head doesn't feel as heavy. My thoughts are kind of getting greased up. They may not go away, but they don't feel as heavy because they're kind of more fluid now. They're not stuck. And then the last column, how do I feel after my walk? I feel a lot lighter. I feel, I don't feel as heavy. I don't feel as worried, whatever it is that those, but I want those three columns. So if we have our releasing and rebuilding pieces, we're going to have that first column, release and rebuild activities. Those are what's listed. Welcome, staff. Last, welcome, girls. And then we've
Thank you.
the second column is going to be how do I feel in this activity? What are the emotions that are going on in this activity? And I want you to ask yourself, am I present? Do I feel present when I'm doing this? Like, am I able to kind of just focus in on what it is that I'm doing and anything else that was distracting me before it's not getting to me as much, right? And then that last column is how do I feel afterwards? Well, I feel accomplished. I feel productive. I feel whatever that is. Are you getting my drift? Sorry, I'm kind of beating it like a dead horse. Are we good? Thumbs up, thumbs down, middles. I want you to be able to have this list that you're going to start adding on, especially now that you're home. And some of you have been home for a while. So if I'm bringing this up and you're like, oh, what is this list? Or, oh, crap, I forgot about that. Oh, it's a good time to redo it. Right? It's a perfect time to redo it. Okay. Because the next pieces that I want to focus on when we're looking at progressive balance when we're home, we're going to use this list. We are going to hone in on the research that we've done with this list. This list requires research. It requires emotional and mental research. We have to sit and think about, even if we have to close our eyes and imagine ourselves doing this activity or go out and do it, like since we're home, we can actually go out and do these things now and think, oh, okay, how am I feeling in it? How am I feeling afterwards? And fill those columns in because now we're gaining more awareness on what actually gives us more balance inside. We don't obtain balance by actually having everything balanced. That's not attainable. That's not something that we can do. Okay. So moving forward, if we want to keep progressing when we go home, which hopefully all of us have this goal. Do we? Maybe. Maybe we've given up hope. Oh, I love you guys. It's been a long day. I've been here at the bridge all day, and then I present as soon as I get done with you guys. So who knows what this poor group is going to get afterwards. It's great. So it's awesome. Okay. How many of you have heard yourself say something like this? If I could just balance these few things, if I could just balance my life out and kind of get this here and this here and this here, then everything will be okay. I want you to raise your hand or give me a thumbs up in the chat if you say this to yourself. Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Steph. If you've heard yourself say that before, if I could just balance these things, if I could just get this balanced, if I could balance work and home, if I could balance, my exercise with my learning progress, if I could just do this, that, or the other, then I would feel better. Okay. We've got, oh, yes. Thanks, Celeste. Yes. Here.
You're welcome.
Okay, cool. Now, guess what? Can you read what's on my little slide right there? What does it say underneath well-being? I want someone to read it for me. Meg, will you read that?
Complete balance is not possible. Let that shit go.
Bam! Thank you for the ad lib because that was perfect. Okay? You guys, it's not possible. It is not possible. It's not probable. It's just not any of those. Okay? We're mortal humans experiencing a mortal realm, and there's no way. There's no way for a balanced outcome. If we are looking at, well, life will be better when, right? That's us focusing on an outcome, right? We're living life towards an outcome. I'll be happy when, I'll get here when. This is something that's not different in the fact that, oh, when I get balanced, or if I could get balanced, because we can't. Somewhere, somehow, we're always going to be out of balance. Right now, we're all right here attending to each other, and our families or work or something else is not in balance because we're not giving it equal amounts of attention, right? There's no way for us to do that. What we can do, this keeps moving, we can feel balance. So what do you think the difference is between being balanced or feeling balanced? Anyone have any ideas? Hop on and speak out or put something in the chat. What does that look like to you? What's the difference? Feeling balanced or actually being balanced? Any thoughts?
I think
I'm
okay.
still good.
Go ahead, Steph.
Okay. I'm still learning kind of what balance looks like because I did kind of have those parameters for like check these boxes and then it'll be perfect or life will be good. I notice I'm out of balance when I'm not grounded. So
Mhm.
I think for me that goes hand in hand is like trying to be more grounded and like um kind of step when I'm overwhelmed and stuff, step back into the pocket and like make decisions from a more grounded perspective. Like, so I'll usually try to, if I feel I'm off kilter and overwhelmed, then I will use that as a warning sign to tell me to, okay, I need to reassess and balance and ground myself so
I
that I
love
can make more clear-headed, decisions.
connections.
Yeah.
I love that. So grounding for you is something that helps you feel balance, right? And with knowing that we're not actually balanced in reality, but it gives us the feeling of balance because we're in a grounded state, which empowers us to make better decisions. I love that. Celeste, were you also trying to say something when you and Steph were fighting
Oh,
over?
yes. Sorry.
You're
I was just going to say that since I've been home almost a month now, I mean, I really tried every day just to keep a routine of some of the things that I learned at the bridge and doing like my morning meditation. I always watch like a 20-minute positive exercise. And then I'll do like yoga or stretching. And I feel like starting my day out like that kind of sets the tone and it helps me feel balanced throughout the day.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, a good morning routine always can help us feel that balance, right? Always. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? These are really good. Thank you for sharing, Les. I mean, Steph and Celise. Thank you. Um, I want to see if we can add a perspective to this because the fact that you understand something about yourself on how you feel more progressive or you feel more balanced, that's exactly what we want to start looking at here because it it goes with what it is that I want to talk about and what it is our four pillars of well-being, right? Our four pillars are thus, right? We have mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Those are usually what's involved in a balancing life, right? What we're trying to balance somehow, some ways is those four parts of life, right? Those four parts of well-being. Now, if we understand that, like realistically, we can't have all four of those balanced out perfectly. There's no way. But what we do know is that if we go back to that R&R list, and you've got a list of activities that you have done research on, that's why I say, oh, ooh, it's perfect time for us to look at this because if I have a list of things that I have always liked to do, or things that I've wanted to do, or things that I used to do that I haven't done in a really long time, and I can remember how I felt in it, I can remember how I feel afterwards, I can then start to identify, do they connect with one of these four pillars? Right? So it's an extension of this list. So now I'm giving you even more homework. You're welcome. I'm so sorry. You're welcome. Okay. But this, to me, it's fun because this is like what this is now is like, oh, here's an opportunity for me to connect with whatever helps me to feel progressive and not have the expectation of perfection. Because thinking that we have to be balanced is an outcome expectation of perfection, right? And that puts a lot of pressure on us. And over time, if we're not meeting that expectation that we've given ourselves, we put ourselves in the shame corner. And most of us know that that's not a place that we are very productive or progressive when we're in that shame corner. So, my hope is this. If we can take that list, if we can take our R&R list, our releasing and rebuilding list, and we can see, okay, this is what's happening when I'm doing this. This is what's happening after I'm doing this. Now, I've got another sheet of paper with four more columns that say emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical. And now I can look at that one R&R list and I can say, ooh, walking is this. Dancing is this, art is this, traveling is this. And I want you to only pick it for one pillar. And that's going to be really hard because you're going to discover something else. Okay. You guys, this is the best math ever. Are you ready to learn the best math ever in your life? I'm going to give it to you right now. I hate math. This is the only math I like. And if you've read Atomic Habits by James Clear, he stole this from me. It was not by I did. I came up with this idea, I felt like, and then I read his book and I was like, what a jerk. I thought of it first. I don't know what he's smoking because I thought of it. Anyways, I'll have to take him up on that at some point. But
That's how you know it's a good idea, though. You read a
right?
whole book on it.
A whole book that he's made billions of dollars on and I missed out. Oh, that's okay. I don't need the money. I just want to change lives. So now let's do this. Does everyone have, since we got a small group, you guys, I want to kind of do some of this together. and we can work together on it, which will be fun for me, maybe not fun for you, but fun for me. Um, does any of us have our R&R list, or do we have paper to start a new one? Can we start a new one?
Mhm.
So I'm going to give you like 2 minutes, and I want you to think of at least two or three activities that are an R&R activity. And I want you to put into perspective, even if it's just like, okay, let me picture myself doing this activity. How do I feel? What emotions are present? And then I want you to think about how do I feel afterwards? And I want you to just kind of, even if it's just one or two words you put in each column, that's fine. But I want you to think of at least two. And I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes. So we'll be all silent. Well, maybe I can play some music on this or whatever, but I'm going to give you just a couple minutes, okay? Because I want you to see how this can work for us. I think this is fun. So, ready, set, go. 2 minutes. Can you guys hear that music?
I can't.
No.
Oh my God, I'm getting all relaxed.
Just means you have a good camera that it's suppressing the background noise.
Oh, that's true, huh? You can't hear that still? I'm all. Oh, I love it, you guys. How are we doing? We doing pretty good? Shoot, I was hoping that would work. Okay, who's got one? Does anyone have a activity and how they feel in it and how they feel afterwards they will share with us?
I will.
Please, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I kind of said it earlier, but yoga and stretching. While I'm
Mm,
doing it, I feel really focused, um, and grounded as well. And then after it's over, I feel a little bit more relaxed throughout my body and feel good that I accomplished something.
yeah, accomplished. I love that. Perfect. That's beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else?
I know this is not a good one, and my husband tells me that I have to stop doing this, but for me, it's watching the news. Like, I am so curious and I just want to know like what's happening. And after I get like my morning update, I don't watch it all day anymore. I don't keep it on in the background, but as soon as I get my fix and I know like what's happened overnight or like the big headlines, then I feel like settled. Like, okay, I can start my day. I kind of know what's going on in the world.
Hmm.
So that's what
So
I've been
while
doing.
you're, Mike, I'm curious though, Mike. I mean, this is curious because if it does something positive for you, right? I mean, start to
Mhm.
identify that. Like if it does something positive, and obviously if it was, I like hearing like, well, it's not a constant thing. I've only do it th at this point in the day now.
Yeah.
That's good, right? Where you've whittled it down. So is it to a point now where it is positive, it does bring something positive to your day?
Yeah. Like I don't obsess over it all day anymore and I don't watch all the changes, but I at least know there's nothing worse than I feel like later on in the day they're like, "Did you hear that?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't." Like I feel like I it's my control aspect where I need to at least be in the know at least one
Okay.
point in the day.
So this is my curiosity question though. So while you're watching it, how do you feel?
Engaged and curious and like even like some of the stuff is negative, but like I guess I don't like absorb the negative part of it. I'm more like absorbing like the informational and sometimes it'll like get me excited to do more research like oh like they just talked about this country wait like I don't know much about them yet and I haven't heard much about that person and then I'll like even be writing a note to like look up this person later and or look up so it kind of like often will set me on trails for like later on in the day that I get excited about to do.
Okay, I love that because see, look, this just shows this is a really great example of how we all have different things that make us tick, right? Where, yes, traditionally, Megan, that's something that most of us is like, I can't do it, right? Like, I
Yeah.
can't watch the news at all. I haven't watched the news in years because I get depressed. I get all kinds of I can't do it. I'm a mess, right?
Mhm.
But for someone like you, it's an informational, it's an engagement piece, right? It gives you some ambition to learn and grow and progress. Like that's a beautiful example of how there's different things that give us different parts of progressive balance, right? So
Mhm.
if you were to take, so Celeste, if we have yoga, what pillar would you put that under if you were going to pick one of those four pillars? Which one would you be attracted to first when you think of what yoga does for you?
I mean, kind of mental for
Okay.
me. And then physical would be second.
Yeah.
But
I
I
think
also want to say something that Meg just
yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah.
I too was famous for having the news on like all day in the background everywhere. And now, since I've been home, I'll watch it for like a half hour and then that's it.
Yeah.
I just get the headlines and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what you need, right? Because some of you, like some of us need that informational piece, and some of us can't handle it at all. So that's where we're all different, but I really like this contrast. So Meg, if you were to pick a pillar for what you just stated, where would you put it?
I'd put it under obviously mental, but then also emotional because I do have emotions tied to it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Beautiful. Okay, I love this. Let's do one more. Anybody else can share one more with us?
I have one.
Please, Les.
So I guess like I've been big into puzzles and stuff, so I can see myself like sitting down, like I can kind of tell like when I'm off or not because I'll have my roommate just talking in the background and I like can't focus like to like separate the colors or like the patterns of a puzzle. So then it's like, okay, mentally you need to get like some clarification or something. Or if I sit down at a puzzle and I catch myself like tensing up like my roommate is like, oh my gosh, like you're taking forever or something, like I can feel my body like just like cringing, and then it's like I have to like take a break, do some stretches, move, and then like come back and I feel like reset. And the same with like meditating. Like if I can have like the most peaceful meditation sometimes, but I can tell whenever I'm off because then I'll have my roommate again like scatterbrain, and then like after I feel relief, like just pushing myself to do like 20 minutes or something. But it's more of like just being able to tell the signs that my body's throwing at me where I'm off, because usually like if your mind is quiet, like your mentality is very like strong, maybe you might be lacking somewhere else like spiritually or emotionally that I like have to release then later. I don't know, it's kind of weird.
I well, no, I love and appreciate this. So now, if you were to choose one of those examples, right? Because it's almost like you're utilizing the R&R to check in with yourself. Am I kind of reading that right? Like it's helping you analyze where you're at.
Yeah, for sure. So like I didn't really realize that I had a list, but it's very like kind of like if I see myself like backtracking to like old habits or negative thoughts, it's like I have to like take a deep breath, become present, and be like, oh well, that's not old me, that's not me no more, and then like move forward and just be like, okay, that's how you used to think, but it's like retraining your brain to start thinking positive, or like your body. Like I used to like push myself so hard, and it's like I would get like all tense and stuff, and like I wouldn't be able to like have like a stabilized nervous system. So like now it's kind of like psychs me out because like I can tell whenever I'm not at peace.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. So really, it's almost like you're using all four pillars to engage in whatever it is that you're doing to see where you're off.
For sure, yeah.
Okay. That's so cool. That's the first time I've run across that. So this is just another really cool way we can feel progressive balance because it's coming to those points of clarity. That's the process of feeling balanced, you guys. When we're becoming aware of where we're at and what something is doing for us and where we're releasing or where we're rebuilding, that is what progressive balance is. That is what gives us a feeling of balance, even if we're technically not balanced, right? Because being balanced is not possible. So we've thrown that huge fat brick out of our backpack. That feels relieving, number one. Number two, now we just get to see where we can connect with this progressive feeling because we want to be progressive. We're not going to be perfect, but we want to be progressive, right? So we start to understand what makes us tick a little bit better. So when I'm talking about the math, you guys have started this R&R list again. So hopefully I want you guys to keep working on that, right? You've got 3 columns for that. Now let's put it on the other side of your paper or a new paper. We've got the 4 columns. We've got emotional, physical, mental, spiritual. If we were to take a look at that R&R list and we could pick one activity, where would we put it initially, right? Just right off the bat, where would we put it initially? Because we only want to focus on 1%. This is where the coolest math ever comes in. If I told you guys, if we just looked at 1% a day, if we just looked at trying to connect with 1% of our pillar each day, doesn't matter which pillar it is, just one of them. Naturally, we'd be almost 40% progressive by the end of the year, right? That's kind of a large chunk by the end of the year, 40%. That's decent. Now, take a look at this. So this is just some examples from my R&R list, right? I just put a couple under each pillar to show you what it looks like. So for me, you guys, surprise, surprise, monkey mind, monkey, monkey, monkey. Like my monkeys get like all kinds of too many bananas in my brain, right? And I will literally feel myself gain mental weight. Like I could be the tiniest person in the world, but my head will feel larger than anything I've ever had before because it will get so full of thoughts and what ifs and anxiety and stress, and I will create all kinds of things. Now, what I do know, because I've written an R&R list of things that help me release, things that help me rebuild, is walking is an incredible tool for me. Walking, when I am really heavy in my head, walking is one of the greatest things I can do for myself because what happens is it's almost like I've sprayed WD-40 on some like rusty cogs in some sort of machine. Because when I'm ruminating on thoughts and they get stuck and I start walking, all of a sudden the thoughts don't go away, right? Here's this feeling of progression. They don't go away, right? We're not always going to solve or resolve or fix everything right off the bat, but they start to just become smoother. They don't feel heavy anymore because they're moving. They have motion, they have fluidity to them now. So they don't feel heavy anymore. So if I'm walking, because I recognize, right, number one, I've learned how to become aware when I'm heavy in my head. And I've learned because I've written a list and I've kind of done the mental research. Oh, when I walk, this happens. And when I'm done, this happens. Sweet. Okay, mental pillar. Love that. Write it down. So I know If I'm in this state, I can take myself for a walk and I'm going to feel better during and afterwards. There's my 1%. That's all I actually need to attend to. But if we, because us as human beings, just like Megan was saying, was like, oh, if I have something that comes up on the screen, I don't know about that, I'm going to research it some more. Same thing happens with their pillars. Okay. So walking for me is a mental pillar. But what else is walking naturally?
Physical.
Yeah. It's naturally
Endorphins.
physical. Yeah. So what if I walk outside? Is nature spiritual for any of us?
Mm-hmm.
For most of us, nature is like for some of us, nature is our only means of spiritual connection, right? So if I take myself for a walk when I feel mentally heavy, my aim was just that 1%, but guess how much I just got? 3%. So if you know that you're guaranteed 2 to 4% every single time you attempt a 1%, how freaking cool is that by the end of the year? You just doubled it, right? Or tripled it, 80, 90% progressive by the end of the year. You guys, this is my sales pitch. It works. Okay? Telling you, this is all you need. These are 4 pillars of well-being. Okay? But the key is doing the research for your R&Rs. This is why I get so passionate, because if we're able to feel that progressive balance, we're able to be aware of what it is that we need. We're able to connect with what it is that we need. And the cool thing about this is you can use it in like a scheduled way, or you can use it in a reflective way. And this is what I mean by that. So I can't remember what I've put on this thing, so I have to keep going through it because it doesn't give me the thing to just look at them. So a couple different things. So if you have your paper and your next step now is like, oh, I can start to, look at my R&R list, and then I can put each of them in a column. Now, because of the math that we just did, you're going to know that every single thing that you have as an R&R is going to hit more than one. Oh, and some of them are going to hit all 4. That's just a given. So the goal and what's going to be hard for us as human beings is to not like, ooh, how many bang for my buck am I going to get with this one, right? Like that's what we're going to naturally want to do. But what I hope you can kind of do is initially, what does this do for me? Because of what I just wrote down in my other 3 columns for my R&R list. Oh, this one spiritually connects. Like that, if that's the first thing that comes to your mind, that's where I want you to put it. Because anything after that is just a bonus, right? It's just adds to our feeling of progression, which is what we're aiming for. But this is where we start to build faith into knowledge, is because we know, because we start practicing, oh, I'm just looking at 1%, because I don't need to burden myself, just like how Megan and Sleece were talking about how they used to follow the news all day long, and now they've condensed it to one small piece and they feel a ton better because of that. They're still getting the information that they need and want, but they're not overwhelming themselves with too much. It's the same thing when we're looking at how we can be progressive when we're home. We want to feel progressive because we're connecting with one of these pillars, and not because we're trying to hit as many as we can in the shortest amount of time possible. Does that make sense? Any thoughts, you guys? Sorry, I'm rambling.
I have some thoughts, but I'm trying to figure out how to say them. Um,
Well,
I'm just okay. I'm trying to think about how I experience it because I tend to get way too analytical and in my head. And I realized after going to the bridge that sometimes you just have to, like, there's a difference between like analyzing and living in the moment, you know?
mhm.
Um, and so, like, when you're saying, like this list that it'll help us, like, absolutely agree. I just need to watch how I word it to myself because if I put expectations, like, oh, this is what I realized by going to the bridge is that I used to think that, okay, this activity always equals this output. Like this, You know what I mean? Rather than connecting with the activity, and which we are, like connecting with how it makes us feel and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, so I really do like the list and the like. I've been trying to think, I'm a researcher. I've been trying to think about how to have a more interactive role for like people with mental health and stuff like that. How to have a more active role and get data like in real time about your own life so that you can because like watches and stuff, they watch heart rate and stuff like that. But I like this like kind of iterative daily check-in, to see in real time. Because like my dad, an example is like my dad has diabetes. He never didn't he didn't really do much with it until all of a sudden there's this thing measuring it all the time. And then he's seeing in real time when he eats how it affects, those sorts of things. And then that changes his behavior. Um, but what I've been trying to do in my own life right now is kind of an iterative, like, which is a programming term, which just means when there's something, you change it just a little bit and then you run the code again. Like if there's a bug or something you're trying to fix in programming, like you change one thing at a time a little bit and then you see the result and then you change again based on that result. So I'm trying to do that in my own life, and trying to find a balance because sometimes I go way too in the head and analytical. But what has been working for me lately is um, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff at work, a lot of problems. So now I just meet with my boss every day and have her tell me what to do because I'm sick. I'm sick and tired of like making decisions all the time and having everyone mad at me at work, like I have like all different kitchen cooks in the kitchen telling me what to do. So I'm like, "Okay, boss every day then. Let's just meet." Like she offered to last week and I'm like, "Okay, this is what we're doing then." And then I can see in real time the changes because I was realizing that where I get stuck a lot is when I'm in perfectionistic mode and I'm analytical and I'm not taking the leap. I'm not like what I keep trying to tell myself that I learned at the bridge is there's no substitute for experience. So like you can sit and think and think and think all you want, but until you actually there's all these parameters and factors outside of your control. So sometimes you just have to go, and do.
I
But
love that stuff. I am so glad that you spoke up because, and is everyone seeing the screen right now? It's like it's everything she just said, right?
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
how, and I want you guys, that's where I hope that this system can kind of help some of us. I mean, not everything's for everybody. So I understand that. But for me, this was something that it connects with that. You can use it analytically, but the analytical pops in because you have to research the feeling of the activity, right? So we have to actually do or picture the doing to see how we're feeling, and then we gather the information, right? So that way we can't just analyze stats or data or probabilities. We actually have to do and feel and then see how we feel in order to progress. Does that make sense? We can't just progress because of what we're pulling out analytically. We have to know, okay, what felt this mentally, emotionally, right? Physically, spiritually, because those aren't just like you said. I love the thing of the watch. Like it can give us the numbers, but it can't give us the feelings. Like that's something we get to experience on our own. And then we can start to identify where it goes and where we want to connect. And like I said, you can do it in two different ways. So you could actually, for some of us, this might feel better where it's like we have a 5 day calendar on our fridge and we assign what pillar we want to connect with each day, just the 1%. Like, oh, Mondays are mental, Tuesdays are spiritual, Wednesdays are physical, Thursdays are emotional. And then we start over, right? And we repeat. And then we can make sure that we're getting the 1%. Some of us like it that way. Some of us can just have an empty, well, not an empty, but we have our pillar list where we've pulled our R&Rs and put what activities connect with what pillar. And at the end of the day, we can look back and go, oh, I did. I connected with my mental pillar today. to where it's just a reflective piece, right? To where we can look back and see, you know what, I did connect with 1%. Oh my gosh, I connected with 4. Super cool, right? Because that, when we're reflective and we see that, we can see that we're being progressive within the pillars. Or if we already have it planned out, we know we're going to because we already have planned out what percent, what 1% we're going to connect with that day. Does that make sense or is that totally confusing? Is there one or the other that feels better for you guys?
For me, for like ADHD, it's like I like a modular approach rather than a scheduled, like locked into a thing. So that's probably what I do. Like have the activities linked to pillars and then like depending on the day, and how I'm feeling, do one of them.
Well, and I like it too because then it causes us to really connect with like just like Leslie was saying, where it's like, ooh, I utilize some of these to actually see where I'm at, like to actually see what's going on. It's a tool for awareness. Or because I'm wanting to connect with my pillars, I'm actually stepping into mindfulness a little bit more because I'm wanting to know what I'm doing and what I'm hitting or where I'm lacking in that moment. It's another observational tool, right? But just like you said, Steph, simplifying is actually where it's what the key is because if we try too hard, you mentioned so the formula piece, and I love that I have that there because we get stuck on unrealistic formulas. We get stuck in black and white thinking, right? Where all or nothing, A plus B plus C equals D. And I have to keep it in that format. If I try to move any of those letters around, heaven forbid, I'll never get D again. Guess what? You will always get D, even if you move C to the front, B to the end, and A in the middle, or you use other letters like P, Q, and R. You can still get D. It doesn't make sense, but it still figures itself out, right? Because we're learning how to be flexible in what we want, where we want to take ourselves, being progressive, rather than giving ourselves a rigid piece of information and then letting ourselves down and put ourselves into shame or disappointment because we didn't meet exactly what formula we thought was supposed to work. Any thoughts? I get
I
very,
have one.
please share.
Um, in addition to like the things, achieving the things that I want to do on a daily basis, I've also taken the time to recognize when I'm not doing certain things, like bad habits that I would normally go back to. you
Mm,
know, like, okay, well, normally I would have had some wine or I would have, taken a pill or I would have, been on my iPad all day. I'm really recognizing the things I'm not doing in addition to the things I am doing.
I love that. So kind of
Thanks.
like a self-evaluation, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay. Now that, and I love that that hits that question at the bottom, like how are you going to hold yourself accountable? Like how can we have that accountability piece without it becoming like a shame-inducing piece? How can we just kind of see where we're at?
And I also see that as a um like we haven't like humans have a negativity bias. So like a lot of times the things that stick out to us are like for our survival. So like um I like that you're doing that, like focusing on the things that you like, the good things, like the positive things, the ways that you have changed. Because I think we don't give ourselves enough credit sometimes and realize how far we've come.
Yeah, I agree. I love Dave, the last couple times Dave Oakton, Dr. Dave, therapist Dave, has been on here. He's given some really good thoughts on the gratitude piece,
Mhm.
which I've tried to practice a little bit more, is and you don't want to do it to where it's feeling, like, oh, it's more to have to do. So if that's the feeling you get with it, it might not be something that works, but definitely I wanted to try it, so I did, and I feel like this is great because what he was recommending is when we do a gratitude list, I'm like, yeah, we got the general things, like I'm grateful for the blue sky or the beautiful weather or things like that. That does induce good vibrations, right? That brings our energy level up. But what if we were also taking note of, you know what, today when so and so said this that normally triggers me and I felt triggered, I didn't react the way I normally would. I actually did this instead of this. That was so cool. I'm so grateful that I did that. And that's kind of what you're insinuating, I feel like, Celise, is looking at the things that you are doing that you wouldn't have done before or that you're changing from the way you used to engage with it. Is that kind of what I'm feeling from you, Celise?
Yeah, exactly. And I also just know that I don't ever want to feel the way I felt before I came to the bridge ever again. So it's just, I felt so good going to the bridge and doing the therapy, and I'm still doing it, but I don't ever want to go backwards. Like, it's just, yeah, that keeps me doing the things I'm doing as well.
Um, I love that. So if we're looking for an accountability tool, what could work for you, right? If we're looking at, for me, it was looking at, okay, what pillars am I connecting with? What has helped me today? And for me, it was in a reflective sort of a state where I could look back on the day and be like, you know what, that walk that I took today, wow, I am so glad that I did that. That I had put enough research into knowing what helps me when I get into this state, that I was able to look onto that list and be like, oh, you know what? I am feeling heavy in my head. I've got to go out for a walk. Like, let me make that change where normally in the past I would have let myself get really anxious and irritable and then blown up on my daughter for some stupid reason, right? Because I'm overly heavy in my mind and I'm feeling stressed about X, Y, and Z, when the person or situation that gets my reaction probably has nothing to do with what I'm actually feeling. So noticing the progression there, what is going to keep me accountable to changing the behavior, first of all, because I'm aware of the emotional piece that I'm in, and how am I going to make sure that I'm getting into the mindset that I can be progressive in that behavior? Any thoughts? You good? But do small things, right? This is where we start to modify that, where, and for any of you who met with me, like prior to coming home, or in that last lecture where we talk about how do we make things small when we first get home? Did we do that when we first got home from the bridge, or did I overwhelm myself with a bunch of different things that I thought I needed right all at once? Did that kick me in the butt? Have I allowed myself time to kind of incrementally give myself little bits and pieces over time and build upon those pieces, starting very small? And if you felt overwhelmed, guys, this is the time to start over. That's a beautiful thing. Dr. Brooks says it, right? Like, we have a new page every second, every minute. We don't have a new page every day. We have a new page every second. We can rearrange things. That is the beautiful part about all of this, is we definitely can do that. We can find the grace and the mercy in ourselves to just feel into something that is different and progressive rather than something that demeans or shames. Yay. I forget what I put on some of these. I've got to change.
Aw.
She's way bigger than me now, which is not a big surprise. Everyone is, but
Tanisha, how old is she?
she's 11 now. I think she was 10, 9 or 10 in this picture.
Is 11, is that what, seventh grade?
She's in sixth grade, so she's going into seventh this next year.
Okay.
Yes. She'll be 12 in May. Oh, I am so in trouble, you guys.
Rough
Is she
transition for you.
Yeah.
That's what anytime.
Earlier when you
Go ahead.
earlier when you said like you're gonna play music, my brain just went to the
Yeah.
like when you were like, I'll give you guys 2 minutes. I was like, that would not help.
Steph, just start singing to us. I should have done that. I was thinking, I was finding like these meditative musics, and I was like, ooh, this will be nice. You guys couldn't even hear it.
Uh,
This will really induce all kinds of good brainstorming. Mm. Okay, so In conclusion, I hope we can keep these lists going. Can we keep the lists going? And just allow it to be a fun research project for yourself now, right? Like an active one where like, how do I feel when I'm doing this? How do I feel afterwards? And then if we have, even if we just have the pillars, those words listed somewhere, will it help us reflect like, did I do something that connected me to this today? Or maybe, like I said, we have the list of, hey, Monday's emotional, Tuesday's spiritual, Wednesday's physical, Thursday's uh, mental, right? Like, how can I keep myself progressing? Because if I'm active in the research of how I feel during and after, I'm going to know what I want to do when I feel stuck in something. That awareness is going to be a lot easier to identify, like Les has told us. I love that what you shared with that, because that's us truly learning where we're at and how we want to move forward. What kind of an action do I take? And sometimes some of these things help us to find that clarity. That's hopefully the point. And that gives us that progressive feeling. We want to be progressive. We're not perfect, girls. We never will be. So let go of it and just reach out for progression. Like I want to progress today. Only 1%. That's the only pressure I'm putting on myself. 1%. Because that 1%, is always going to double or triple. That's the guarantee. So you don't have to worry about more than one. That's the beautiful part of the math in this one. So I love you, ladies. Please, thank you so much for showing up. Next week is our provider panel. So we'll have me, Grant, Tyler, Dave, and Joelle, I believe, will be on next week. And there might be some others I don't remember, but please come with questions, concerns, victories, topics that we want to look at. I enjoy those. Those are fun for us together. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being awesome.
Thank you. Good luck
Thank
tonight.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
I'm gonna go
being
see if they had dessert with
here.
dinner tonight, and I'm gonna partake of that, and then I'm gonna crack my jaw more.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Love you
All right.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.